Hi, I'm Dr. John Filippini, and I'd like to share an experience that if I hadn't experienced it myself, I probably wouldn't have believed it. Now, I've suffered with disc problems throughout my spine since childhood, and I was hit by a car on my bike at a young age. I had some pretty serious injuries to my back and neck, including a body surfing injury that folded my back in half, a couple of automobile accidents, lifting injuries, sports injuries. Well, let's just say they had taken their toll on my body. And my first back surgery for a blown disc was at age 22. I also had 2 additional back surgeries for a completely herniated disc and then another disc bulge with degenerative disc disease in my lower back. And I finally got some equipment in my office that I've used to help my patients as well as myself with disc problems, including a couple of spinal decompression tables and some pretty fancy equipment to strengthen the core muscles of the spine and help nerves to heal. Well, we had close to about a 90% success rate in helping our patients as well as keeping myself from any more surgeries. But then a few months ago, I noticed my arms and hands were going numb, mainly at nighttime when I was sleeping. But in the morning, I'd stretch out my neck and massage my hands back to life, and I didn't worry about it too much. When it started getting bad, I'd get on the spinal decompression tables and the nerve stimulator, and things would get back to normal. But one morning I woke up as usual, and I'd lost the total feeling in my left hand and my 2 fingers and my thumb, and it wouldn't wake up. But what really scared me was that I was starting to lose strength in my arm, chest, and the back muscles on the left side. I continued using the equipment in my office, but this time it wasn't helping. This went on for about 3 or 4 weeks with daily sessions of decompression and nerve stimulation, but my condition was slowly worsening. I was familiar with these symptoms, and for the first time in years, I wasn't able to help myself. I scheduled an MRI and prepared myself for what I knew was inevitable, and that was neck surgery. I knew I wouldn't be able to practice with only one arm functioning, and as soon as there was enough pressure on the nerve, the pain would most likely become unbearable. I'd already given up golf because every time I grounded my club or even made contact with the ball, the jolt of the club sent these zingers up my arm and into my neck, and then I hurt for the rest of the day. But I remembered the success that I had experienced with Wei Laboratories and their Fasty and Whitey patches. But I had previously used their patches on one of my disc herniations a few years back that just didn't get the results that I had hoped for. Now this was before I purchased the spinal decompression tables and the other fancy equipment that I now have. I thought I'd make one last attempt at trying to avoid surgery, so I canceled the MRI and ordered some Whitey patches and LC balancer. I continued with the spinal decompression and the nerve stimulation, and I was finally starting to feel something changing. Now, if you're not familiar with nerve compression, especially when there's specific numbness, pain, tracing and into the tissues where the nerve roots are being compressed, it's a sure sign that the patient needs surgery, and fast, if you don't want to lose permanent function of the nerve. And then there's the months of follow-up therapy to try to get the nerve to regenerate and hopefully get some of the feeling and the function back. And that's if you can afford it, because most insurance won't pay for the time necessary to fully regenerate a nerve, which can take up to 18 months. Well, by the 16th day of using these Whitey patches and the LC balancer with continued therapy, I had regained complete feeling in my my hand, and then by the end of the 3rd week, I felt the strength returning to my entire left side. And yes, I was back on the golf course, playing without pain or discomfort. I'm continuing the full 3 months of recommended treatment for my disc because I don't want this problem coming back. But this experience has given me confidence that with the use of Wei products and the spinal decompression and the Hacomed and Rebuilder nerve stimulation, you can be helped as well with almost any disc or joint problem you might be suffering with. And all without the expense, the pain, the risk of surgery, as well as the several months of recovery time that it takes. If you're suffering from back or neck pain that hasn't resolved with therapy, chiropractic care, or even spinal decompression, especially if there's radiating pain or numbness into your arm or leg, you owe it to yourself to try these Wei products. They're the best thing on the market, and they'll give you hope at getting back to your normal